Yes, I'm sure I want to start. Alright, and we should be live now. So
Oh,
guys,
good.
welcome to episode 10
Uh,
of, why is my, sorry, my exposure is going crazy. Episode 10 of Recycle Bin. So we're hosting it again on my channel, TitoTechTube, as you know, because you're watching it on my channel. We've got Bear with If That's the Case showing up, and all the Skype controls are now popped up because Skype is stupid, but that's okay. So, Barry, you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself for anybody who may be my subscribers who don't know you yet?
nope, I don't. I think we're
Okay.
10 episodes in, and I don't have to introduce myself anymore. I'm Bear with If That's the Case, and for the most part, I do case review videos on my channel, If That's the Case, and then I just kind of game and fart around. Otherwise, yeah.
Farting around's always good. Um, cool. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. I've got the straw poll up from last week's PC Part Picker Challenge. So just a quick introduction for those of you, even though nobody's watching yet, that aren't familiar. So PC Part Picker Challenge is actually something that was suggested by Dr. Zipucci, one of Bear's subscribers. Well, I mean, he's one of my subscribers now too, but you know, originally your subscriber. I stole him from you, but.
Ah, thief.
So he suggested that we do a PC Part Picker challenge, and so now it's a weekly thing that we do on the live stream where we set a budget and a theme for a PC build, and then we each go off, put together a PC Part Picker list, come back, show it off, explain it to you guys, and then we provide you a straw poll to vote on which one you like the best. So last week's challenge was the $2,500 1440p total setup challenge. This is actually 2 weeks ago because we didn't do PC Perfect Challenge last week. So
Right.
basically, this was build a PC that can do 1440p gaming, include a keyboard, mouse, headset, and monitor for 1440p gaming. So without further ado, let's check out the results. And it looks like I won the 1440p challenge. All right. So we should
All
probably keep
right.
track of how many of these we each win. I think this is
No.
this is our
No.
third or
What?
fourth one.
We,
I think we're
there's no need to keep track. No.
no, I think we're pretty even right now, aren't we? Each one we're, we're two for two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're two and two. I think we've done four, right? And then I think
Yeah.
we've each won two.
Yeah.
So it'd just be pretty interesting to see if we stay in like a dead heat like that, because I think we keep just trading wins. Anyways, so there's that. That's out the way. So now we get to the point to where we show off our builds that we did last week. So after we show you, I guess I didn't get through explaining the whole thing. So now that we've shown you this, last week we challenged each other with a $1,200 NAS build, and the theme of it was, other than it just being a NAS, was to also have it be a good-looking NAS, have it a centerpiece system that could be like the centerpiece of a home entertainment system type thing. Um, Oh, it's the wrong link. So, Bear, we'll do your build first.
Okay.
And let me make sure. Okay, still no viewers. Okay. So, usually we have at least one by now.
I
Um,
know. Oh, I didn't tweet out today. Whoops.
oh yeah.
Twitter.
So while you do that, I'll go ahead and explain a little bit more.
Okay.
So we'll each present our builds here, and then I will post the straw poll. And oh, we got a peak of one concurrent viewer now.
Ooh.
Probably Dr. Zipucci, if I had to guess. Um, he's usually, I think, our most consistent viewer. I mean, there's a couple, but I think he's probably about the most consistent viewer we have for the stream, anyways. So, anyways,
Right.
not I've derailed myself yet again. So we'll present our builds. I'll put up the straw poll in the chat, and then actually I'll go ahead and put the PC part picker for Bear in the chat as well. Um, Alright, so that's in the chat now. So once we present, I'll put the straw poll in the chat, and then you guys can vote. And we will leave the straw poll open for a week, and then on next week's stream, we will check and see who won. And then after we get done doing all that, we'll reveal the challenge for the following week, and then the cycle just repeats itself.
Oh, I love how loud my keyboard is. Clickety click 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 click. Oh, is that one mine?
Yeah, I've got yours up now.
Okay. You have to remember my, I don't know what it is, network, whatever,
Right.
is acting kind of slow. So I went ahead and I believe I got myself like a Xeon.
Yep, yep.
So I just kind of, oh, there it goes. Everything's in focus now. Like before, everything was all blur. Yeah, I got myself a Xeon E3 V5. It was just a 3 gigahertz quad core.
Mhm,
I didn't think I needed anything too fancy since we didn't specify what type of NAS.
mhm.
My thought was this is just going to be a at-home NAS.
Okay.
So on top of that, I threw on a little Cooler Master Hyper 212, a red LED, in order to help kind of shine light out of the Rosewell Stealth ATX case I got.
Yep.
And the reason why I chose this particular case is so that it can actually hold all of the hard drives that you would ever want to throw into it.
Yeah.
So, and then I also, as soon as I can see my list, is I threw in, what was it, 12 gigs? Yeah, 12 gigs of RAM
Mhm.
because you should have at least 1 gig for every terabyte of hard drive space you have.
Right.
So with that, I also threw in some Seagate Barracuda 2 tears. They're not NAS drives; they're normal desktop drives. I just thought it was a good way to fill it, and you could probably do a RAID 10 with it,
Mhm.
and still be fast and good and all of that. And then since it's all going to have to go over the network anyways, you're going to be capped at like a gig a second anyhow. So I went ahead and I got, hey, can you guess what? That same gosh darn PSU from EVGA. Every time it's the 440 watt 80 bronze PSU. And the reason is it just doesn't have the catch up and mustard cabling, and it is certified at the 80 plus bronze. So,
Right.
and then I went ahead and with the motherboard, I went with Supermicro because one of the things about NASs is unless you buy a particular piece of equipment that is made for NAS,
Mhm.
the best bet for a motherboard is to go with a Supermicro motherboard because they are made to be NASs. They are made to be, I mean, enterprise NASs if you
Right.
really need them. So, and that was kind of my build.
I like that you took advantage of the Xeon and you got the ECC memory as well.
Yes.
And it looks like
Yeah,
you got
that was the only thing that was really compatible and um, within budget too.
right. Yeah. Cool. So
Kingston Value RAM.
that's actually good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Whenever
So
you don't need anything with fancy heat spreaders or anything,
yeah,
value Kingston Value RAM is on point.
yeah. And the Roswell has good airflow in it, so
Yeah.
Ros, yeah.
All right. Cool. So I'll go ahead and jump into my build then. And so I went with another Ryzen build because give you a little bit of backstory to what my build's going to be. This is how I would and plan to use the NAS that I'm eventually going to build. I actually have a old Dell T310 server in my closet that I've got to put together for it. That will not be anywhere near as potent as this build is,
Right.
but um, excuse me.
No
That's
dying.
yeah. I tried to mute my mic. I couldn't hit it fast enough. Anyway, so I went with the Ryzen build because I wanted to have multiple cores, as many threads as possible in it within the budget. Because I will be using it as a Plex server. On top of being a NAS, it'll be free NAS running the Plex plugin. Um, and with Plex, whenever you do streaming over the internet to one of your devices, it essentially will encode on the fly. So having more threads is helpful for that. So let's go through. I'll go through all the core components first, and I'll go through the kind of bling factor items after that. So I got the Ryzen 5 1600, so 6 cores, 12 threads. I got the BioStar X370 micro ATX motherboard. I went with X370 because it gives you 6 SATA ports, whereas B350 only gives you 4.
Okay.
Team Vulcan 2x8 gig kit because it's pretty neutral color, black and gray. Storage wise, I've got a SanDisk X400 128 gig SSD. So I can use that as one or two ways I can set this up. I can install FreeNAS on the SSD, and then I believe you can partition that and use part of that as a cache for
Okay.
the array. Um, or I can install it on a flash drive, run it off a flash drive on the machine, and just use that all 128 gigs for cache. I've got three Seagate Barracuda 3 terabytes. Again, I didn't go with NAS grade drives either because they're much more expensive to go that route. Um, I did three because I have six SATA ports. That gives you, I can do three of those and do a. I'm not super familiar with ZFS and FreeNAS and how it works, but essentially I can run ZFS with this. I have enough RAM to support the 1 gig per terabyte. Um, and I still have two DIMM slots open, so I can add two more 8 gig sticks and three more 3 terabyte drives and still be covered. And this would set up for a 2+1 configuration in RAID Z. Um, so that way you could expand with another 2+1 later on. So part of what my thought process was to keep expandability in the, you know, for the future.
Hmm.
Uh, Graphics card, I just went with something pretty basic. I want something decent. Um, Sorry, I realized I added a 750 Ti. I meant to add it. I thought it was a 1050 Ti when I added it. I didn't read that carefully. Yeah. Anyways, so 750 Ti just because I wanted something to give video output, but it's still a decent video card. So if it needs to do anything later on down the road, but this computer's not really meant for gaming, as it's going to be more of a content distribution, media storage type thing. Um, Went with the Fractal Design Node 804. I haven't really been opening these up to look at them because it's a nice Micro ATX cube case. It's got a nice look to it. It would look good in like a entertainment center or something like that. And it's got room for the six hard drives in the cages up top here.
Okay.
And it's got a nice dual compartment type setup. And yeah, I mean it's basically it. I mean it's a fractal case. What else can you say about it? It's good. um,
What is it? Simple Scandinavian design.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Minimalistic. Um,
Minimalistic. Thank you.
got the Corsair CX 450 watt. I didn't go with modular on this because it saved a couple dollars, and um, it's not needed with this case because the PSU is in a completely different compartment. And I had enough room in my budget. I came in $18, $17 and 15 cents under budget with the Hue Plus. So I can bling it up
Nice.
with some LED strips. I got the Deep Cool Captain 240EX because it just you know adds to the black and white theme that the fractal case kind of already has going on, and it's got a nice breathing white LED in the center of the pump that looks pretty cool. I've actually got that that exact cooler in my current Ryzen build that's on my desk next to me. Um, yeah, so that I think I covered everything with that. Um, Actually, really happy with the way the build came out. I didn't get the ECC memory, so I won't have that extra
Yeah.
layer of protection with the ZFS pool. But from what I was reading, it's not strictly necessary, but it's just
No.
a nice to have.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would change, is I'd like to be able to get because Ryzen is supposed to support ECC. So if I had more time, I'd probably would have done a little bit more research in finding a motherboard that would support the ECC memory and adding that in instead. But yeah, that's it. So I'll go ahead and grab the poll. Oh, you know what? I never added my build to the chat, so let me do that first. Permalink, grab, and oh no, I closed it instead of copying it. And the poll. Cool. So let's take a look at what we're gonna do for next week's challenge. Barry, you want to go ahead and announce it? Since this one was kind of your idea.
Sure. Next week's challenge, we're actually going to be dealing with last week's. Am I on the wrong one? No, episode 10. Next week's challenge is just $1,200 build challenge.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Just build whatever you can with $1,200, and may the best builder win.
Yep. Yeah, so we decided to give our brains a break this week, or this coming week, and go with just something that um, is a little more open, gives us a little bit more flexibility to be
Hmm.
creative. So I think this one will be really fun. Cool. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the news topics.
All right.
So number one here is I put in the title the $49 3D printer. Not really, but kind of. So uh,
With a
Kodama,
$50 mail in rebate or something.
no, not quite. So Kodama is gonna put up on Kickstarter here, middle of June. It's gonna go up on the Kickstarter for $99 for the entry level. $99 basically gets you just the printer, without the LCD screen. So you'd have to like plug it into to like a computer or something, or to a Pi to control it. But it's a
Okay.
$99 3D printer. They're gonna have the early bird special for $49 when it goes live on Kickstarter. Um,
When's that?
Mid-June. There's not an exact date yet. So I recommend going down here and putting your email address in and sign up for their newsletter so you get the notification if you want to check out a what may be a pretty decent. I mean, it looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and play. Let me turn the audio off. I'm gonna go and play the video here. But the printer looks like it's a good quality printer. It's a fairly small build volume. It's 4 by 7 inches by 4 by 7 inches by 4 by 7 inches. So on all three axes, it's just under 5 inches. So it's not a huge build platform, but for a first 3D printer, I think this is going to be a really good place to start. The entry level model does not have a heated bed. Like I mentioned, does not come with the LCD panel. They're going to have two other tiers, a 149 and a 249 tier. The 149 adds the LCD panel and some other stuff. I don't remember the details. Joe Telling, 3D Printing Nerd, actually did a video talking to the guy who runs Kodama. This is actually going to be their second printer that they've put on Kickstarter, so they seem like they're fairly reliable. They've already delivered one product. So I think this is one that you can feel confident in backing if you're interested in trying your hand at 3D printing. The $250 model, I know will also get Wi-Fi capability, so there's going to be iOS and Android app so you can do Wi-Fi printing to it with, and it'll also have heated bed. So with heated bed, you get a little bit better adhesion, and you may be able to do ABS printing with it with that heated bed. So yeah, it looks like it looks high quality in the if you saw it in the video there, it looks really nice. It's actually I like the design of it because it's a mostly enclosed, like it's almost like a solid. Um, it's got support on all sides. Like mine is the WAN house, so it's got the center post for the Z-axis, so it's got a
Hmm.
lot of wobble to it. The more stable you can make the printer, the better the print quality is going to be, and that looks like it's got a really stable and sturdy platform. Excuse me.
Oh, you're perfectly fine.
So yeah, I spotted that today. I saw Joe Telling's video on it, and or Joel. I keep saying Joel. Joel Telling. Um, Again, 3D Printing Nerd on YouTube. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. He does a lot of really great content on 3D printing. Um, him, Maker's Muse, and Barnacules when he does it are kind of my go-tos for 3D printing information. So yeah, definitely check that out. And I'm just gonna go ahead and unless you've got something to add there. You seem like maybe
No.
are you gonna buy a 3D printer now? Am I gonna get you involved in
I
this
I don't know. For
horrible,
a hundred
terrible money pit of
bucks,
a hobby?
right? For $100, I mean, not bad.
Yeah,
For $50 without the screen, that's fine if you connect it to your computer.
right. And even
I don't
you can
know.
even pick up a Raspberry Pi and run like Octoprint, and then you can have Wi-Fi printing
Right, and that
with the Pi without having to go for the $250 model.
right.
And so in the interview, whenever Joel was talking to the guy, I don't remember his name now. He asked him, at $99, are you guys making any money? And they said absolutely not. So they're counting on making money on the filament spools. I forget. I think they're.
Right.
I can't remember the brand that they're going to sell, but it's basically $25 a spool, which is an okay price for a spool of filament. I'm super cheap, so I have high standards for low price. But it's gonna be they'll sell the filament for $25 a roll, and then they're counting on making money on the add-ons. So the 150 and the $250 level is kind of where they're going to make their money at. Um, so yeah, I mean that's a great deal on a printer at $99, even at $149, just to get the little touch panel on it. in
Yeah.
LCD panel is still an amazing deal. And again, I'll say it, even at 249, I still think it's a good deal. Any level you want to jump in on
Yeah.
this thing at, it looks like it's going to be a good printer. I would feel comfortable backing this.
Yeah.
If I had the money for it, maybe if I can catch the $49 deal, depending on when it happens and
Yeah.
how my
Same
life
here.
is at that time, I may be able to jump on it. I don't think at $100 I'd be able to, just because of my monetary situation right now.
Right. No, I definitely would hop on if it's the $50.
Yeah,
But if they're going to try to get me at $100, I don't know, because I already have an expensive hobby as it is with all of
right.
these computer cases around. So it's hard to want, like, I want to get into this. I want to try my hand at it, but I don't want to spend the extra money and then have to cut back my other, you know, projects that I like to do.
Right.
So, especially the one project that's been sitting downstairs for years now.
And I will say, I'm gonna put the Amazon link because I know not a lot of people have a micro center near them. Um, Inland filament is an amazing deal. So you easily pay 25 to $40 a spool for PLA or ABS filament. Every roll of ABS I've ever bought, I've bought in Inland, and PLA I've never bought any, but their PLA is the same price. At Micro Center is $15 a roll. Sometimes
Oh,
I think I got one on a deal one time for $10. Sometimes they're on a special. Um, they're a really good source. Even on Amazon, it's still only $18 for a spool, so it's a really good price. And I've had really good luck with the inland filament. It's a good quality filament that's worked well for me. You'll see mixed reviews on it, but so I threw a link in the chat. Alright, so let's go and jump into the next topic then. So obviously Computex just happened in Taipei, and so there's a lot of hardware news. I've grabbed a few topics and just pretended like the others didn't exist because we don't have all the time in the world to go over these. But I grabbed some interesting ones. The first one is just a really quick one, just to give you a
mhm.
peek at the TR4 socket for the Threadripper CPU. So this is AMD's 16-core, 32-thread CPU, and here's a look at what the socket looks like. So if you'll notice, it looks like a dual CPU socket, but like two CPUs in one socket rather than being a dual socket motherboard, which makes sense if you have been following Ryzen and how they're building it with CPU complexes. So they essentially just have four core, 8-thread CPU complexes that they just keep stacking onto the CPU die until they get however many CPU cores and threads that they're looking for.
Right.
So that kind of makes sense that there's sockets like this, but it's pretty enormous. They actually show you down here the plastic cover for the i9 chip, which again is going to be the Intel i9 chip, which is going to be a large chip because the i9, I think there's another topic we're going to do in a little bit on them, but I believe the top tier one's 18 core, so I mean they're large CPUs, but you can see that it's still probably 40% larger than 40 to 50% larger than the Intel i9 CPU.
That's
Um,
crazy.
so yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And rolling right through that into the next topic, which is directly related. So real quick, the last one was from PC World. So credit to Gordon Maung for that topic there. And now this one is going to be with Tom's Hardware from Paul Alcorn. Alcorn? Sorry. um, so AMD Threadripper is going to feature 64 PCIe lanes, and we're going to expect a Vega launch in July. So again, Threadripper 16 core, 32 threads. It's going to have 64 PCIe 3.0 lanes. I read somewhere else, I didn't see it in this article, but I read somewhere else that it's supposed to be 48 dedicated lanes for GPU. So those would be 48 lanes that are actually dedicated to the PCIe X16 slots on the motherboard,
Hmm.
which is pretty impressive. Um, and they do make a comment here that Intel's new X series processors are going to top out at 44 lanes. So you're going to have more PCI lanes available on the Ryzen platform than Intel in the high-end desktop.
Right.
Um, so they did show a couple of the notes here on the CPU itself, Threadripper. So they did the Blender render test of the Ryzen logo and CPU, the one that was kind of made famous with the 1800X at that
Oh yeah.
launch. So the 1800X did it in 36 seconds. Uh, this CPU, the Threadripper, did it in 13.04 seconds. So it did it in less than half the time.
Almost a third.
So
Almost.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's pretty impressive considering it's essentially this CPU is essentially two 1800Xs um, on one CPU. So the AMD did announce that they're going to launch their new graphics card at the end of July at SIGGRAPH 2017, and the Frontier Edition is going to launch. Vega is going to launch June 27th, and the EPYC data center processors are going to debut June 20th of this year. So no launch date for Threadripper yet. The only thing we've been told is summer 2017, so sometime this summer. Probably maybe expect it in August if they're saying
Hmm.
summer. That means it's going to be kind of towards the end of the season, but we should see those pretty soon as well. So let me know any thoughts on that, Bear?
My thought is Intel. I don't know what they're doing, but they need to
Yeah,
get some stuff together.
yeah, yeah. And we'll be able to talk a little bit more on that here in just a moment when we get to that
Yep,
topic. But yeah,
I saw that.
yeah. So real quick, since we're still on AMD, Asus is gonna. This is Tom's Hardware again, Matt Porter. So Asus has a Ryzen laptop that is going to feature the 1700 and RX 580.
Hmm.
Um,
There's also another configuration with the 1600, right?
right, yeah. There's a couple different configurations available. It's not mentioned here, but I want to say it was Hardware Canucks. I may have this wrong. I saw someone posted something the about this. I think it's this laptop from Asus.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but essentially it was that the 1700 with the RX 580 is going to retail for or MSRP for 1499. I don't know what I don't recall if they listed what the memory and the storage would be on that, but if that's the maxed out price for the 1700 with 32 gigs of RAM, a 512 NVMe, and a 580,
These
that's
things will sell like lollipops in a candy store
yeah, that's actually a really good price.
on a
Um,
kid's birthday
So I
party.
know around that price range you can get Intel-based laptops with 1070s in them, but even though you've got a little bit more graphics chops on that, I still think this would be the better deal. Just for the extra memory and storage. Again, this is making a big
Right.
assumption on the memory and storage. Um, but yeah, that's actually really good with an NVMe drive. Even if it's just an NVMe drive and like 16 gigs of RAM, I still think that's a great deal.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, so not a whole lot to say about that. I don't believe there was any information here on the screen resolution or anything. Oh, here we go. So it'll
120 hertz, free sync.
yeah, so it's a 1080 or 4K, both of which will be IPS, and both of which come in either 75 or 120 with FreeSync. Cool. Yeah, so I mean, I think that with a 1080p 75 hertz screen
Hmm.
would be perfect. I don't think a 120, maybe a 120 because even if you do because if you do like CS:GO or something like that, you're gonna be able to take advantage of the 120. But you could save a few dollars, go with 75 hertz, right? And
Yeah.
for a laptop, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
What's
sorry.
up? What you got?
No, I'm gonna keep my comment to myself. Otherwise, I'll have CS:GO people angry with me.
I mean, we can use a little controversy. That's what gets you noticed on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'd rather have like I don't know. I'm sorry, but if you're playing CS:GO, you don't need 120 hertz, monitor. Is it nice to have? Sure, yes.
Yeah.
Will your eyes really notice the difference quick enough for you to, react appropriately? If they're already looking at you, you're already dead. But, I don't, whatever. Jay did a very good video on this, actually. Go
Yeah.
check out Jay's channel and find the link yourself.
So our next article is going to be from PC World, still on the topic of laptops. Man, I did a accidentally really good job of organizing these
Yeah.
topics.
No,
Um,
your segues are a lot better than Linus's.
well, to be fair, we don't have sponsors that drive our segues, but
Yeah, that's true.
no shots fired, guys. That wasn't a stab at Linus. It was just a legitimate
Yeah.
comment. So PC World, again, Gordon Maung. NVIDIA's Max Q finally gets you GeForce GTX 1080 graphics in a thin and light laptop. So essentially, I'm going to just run into this picture here. I don't have a lot of notes on a lot of these topics because a lot of this was a
Hmm.
scramble for me. Sorry, guys. But this picture of the Asus Republic of Gamers laptop here, it's kind of hard to see in the picture, but essentially when you lift the lid on the laptop, there's a panel on the bottom that as you lift the lid, a panel on the bottom gets pushed open to allow fresh air to circulate through the bottom of the laptop. I thought that was actually a pretty cool idea. Um, but essentially, whatever they're doing with this Max-Q technology on the NVIDIA side is helping these chips to run cool enough that they can cram them in these itty bitty laptops. I believe, I want to say, oh no, I can't remember who it was now. And again, it was another YouTuber. I've watched so many Computex videos that I can't even keep track of who did what. But
Right.
one of the big guys, Paul, Kyle, Linus, somebody, I want to say it was Kyle on Bitwit, but I'm not sure. Um, Compared this to the Razer Pro that he's carrying around, and it makes the Razer Pro look like it's a, you know, freaking what was the GT72 MSI gaming laptop, the one that was about yay thick, about as thick as my head.
Huh.
So these things are, I mean, these things are razor thin. It's no pun intended. It's pretty ridiculous.
Ha
So
ha ha.
the one thing if you notice, this Razer laptop, or I'm sorry, this Razer laptop, this Asus laptop is kind of pulling the, I think it's the Razer Pro, the new one, where they do the trackpad off to the right hand side and shove the keyboard all the way down on the chassis. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I know why they did it, and the thermal readout image here shows you why they did it, because
Hmm.
all the the components are crammed up at the top, and that allows them to align everything with that vent in the back, so that they can effectively cool everything and keep your hands away from the heat. So I do appreciate that consideration, but I just feel like in a lot of lap use scenarios, like a laptop is meant to be used in, I feel like that's not going to be very ergonomic to have the keyboard all the way closest to you as possible in your lap. So just a thought. And then the number pad can also be turned into, or I'm sorry, the trackpad can also be turned into a number pad if you don't want to use it as a trackpad. So there's that. Not a whole lot else to say about that. Now it's a topic that we really want to talk about. The Intel Core i9. There's two topics in one in this one. So the Core i9 7900X overclocked to 5.7 gigahertz shatters Cinebench world records. I wouldn't call it shatters, by the way. This is kind of a clickbaity title. This is Hot Hardware by Brandon Hill.
Hmm.
So we're going to skip over this. We'll talk about the lineup here in a second. So if you look here, Elmore is the person who did this overclocking. So he's the same guy who overclocked the R7 1800X to 5.8 gigahertz on LN2 liquid nitrogen.
Right.
So when he did that, he managed a Cinebench score of 3137. Okay, remember that number, 3137. He got the 7900X clocked to 5.7 gigahertz, so 100 megahertz slower than the 1800X was. But this also has two cores and four more threads than the 1800X. So keep that in mind. And I don't know how many cores and threads they're running during this overclock. I believe the 1800X was running all cores, all threads, because I remember
Hmm.
that being a big deal. But don't quote me on that. Anyways, the 7900X scored a 3181, less than 50 points more than the Ryzen 7 for a CPU that is a $1,000 price point CPU.
Do do
Less than
do
50
do
points
do do do.
for $500. I'm just saying. I would not call that shattered.
Do do, 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 do.
So, anywho, moving on. Um,
Jeez.
I do want to talk about. Yeah, I thought it was going to be way more interesting, and then I actually read the topic, and it was stupid.
No, it's just it's no, like you said, it's that
That's getting
processor
cut
is
off.
$1,000,
Yeah,
and it's like the score wasn't that much more.
yeah. Sorry, I gotta adjust my crop on the on OBS a little bit because it's cutting off the CPU names. All right. So real quick, I want to look at the lineup, and we're gonna have a little discussion here about the lineup that Intel's doing, and maybe we'll give Intel a little advice that nobody will ever listen to, but that's okay because they're stupid and we're smart. So,
As long as they don't follow what great, who's the company? Who's the company? Call of Duty, who's the company?
mm, mm-hmm.
As long as they don't do that,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Because Call of Duty's like, oh, you guys don't know what you want.
yeah. So we're gonna look at the lineup here. So we've got the KB Lake X chips, which are the 7640 and 7740 that shouldn't exist. They're going to be socket LGA 2066, just like the rest of the high-end desktop platform chips. But there's really nothing that special about them. They're still dual channel only. Um, they're still the same core and thread count. They're slightly higher clocked. I'm still not sure. They're higher wattage TDP. I'm not sure what the advantage of these chips over the others are, other than just being able to buy a less expensive chip to get onto the extreme platform motherboard, but then you
Right.
don't have the PCIe lanes to support the main reason for going to
Uh,
that version of there's two reasons to go with the Extreme series, the X chipset motherboard from Intel. Two reasons: core count or PCIe lanes. You get neither one of those with these lower end two chips. So I don't know why they exist. Now as we move up the line, we've got the 7800X, the 7820X, and the 7900X. Now let's keep in mind here that these three only existed, this is where the lineup ended at Computex, the presentation that they were giving to the press. This is where their official slide deck on the display, on the projector, ended. The rest of these SKUs up top were added after the fact. They told them verbally about them during the presentation and emailed the media outlets that were at the event this slide deck later, right? So they didn't plan on releasing these chips. So that right there tells us that they did this solely because of Threadripper. That's what that tells me. So these, ignoring the top four chips here, just going with the middle three. So we see a 6-core 12 thread, 8-core 16 thread, and a 10-core 20 thread. So basically the lineup we have now, they just removed the extra 6-core part, right? 140 watt TDP on all of them, 389, 600, and $1,000. So I mean, still seemingly overpriced for what they
your
are.
mic just cut,
Oh, my mic cut out.
and there you are.
Okay. So again, we're still in this, perhaps a little overpriced for what they are, considering you max out at 44 PCIe lanes on the 10-core part. You spend $1,000 on the 10-core part and still only get 44 PCIe lanes. You spend $600 on the 7820X and you only get 28. I know Jay made some comments and has had some discussion about this, that they've actually cut down the number of PCIe lanes that they give you in each of these tiers, less than what they were in the previous generation. And I
Yeah.
know there's others that have spoken about that too. Um, so I mean, their core counts and clock speeds are impressive. Maybe not for the price, and maybe not for the PCI Express lanes that they give you, especially considering Threadripper and even their own previous generation chips. So, onto the top tier, the 7920, 7940, 7960, and the 7980XE. This is 12, 14, 16, and 18 thread, or core. 24, 28, 32, and 36 thread. We don't have any of the other information here for L3 cache and all that. If I remember correctly, the 7980XE, I've seen other ones that I thought listed it. Pretty sure the 7980XE is 16 megabytes of cache, and I believe it's still the same 44 PCIe lanes. It's
Okay.
$2,000. I may be giving you false information on that. That may not be confirmed yet, but it's a $2,000 chip. So we're back to their top-end chip increasing in price again. The top-end chip went from $1,700 to $2,000. I mean, right here, 16-core, 32 thread. That's going to be the direct competitor to Threadripper, and it's $1,700. The cost of the current high-end chip, top-end. Excuse me, the cost of the current top-end chip from Intel. $1,700 for 16-core, 32 thread. That's what we're going to get with Threadripper. I would be willing to bet that we're probably going to be around $1,000 price point with Threadripper because it kind of makes sense.
Right.
Even at $1,200, we're still kind of at a win with AMD there. So I'm interested to see what AMD does with the pricing stack. We don't know for sure on Threadripper, but the rumor is that on Threadripper there's going to be a 12, 14, and 16 core part. So there's 3 SKUs in that lineup. I've heard people say 10 core. I'm not sure about 10 core. I think just doing a 12, 14, and 16 makes more sense. I think it almost makes more sense for them just to skip 10 core altogether. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But if they come out with a 16 core 32 thread part at $1,000, I think Intel's in trouble. Especially once we start seeing that server part. Once Epic comes out for the enterprise side, the
Oh
only
my
thing, the only
gosh.
thing that may hurt, no, well, the only thing that I think will definitely hurt Epic is its naming. I think it's gonna make it hard for enterprise to take it serious. You know, they'll be able to, the smaller startup and kind of like the hipper companies will probably be all right, but companies like
Right.
mine and places that you work for, like you do, Bear,
Yeah.
would almost be turned off just by the name Epic,
Yep.
right? So,
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
because
agree with
how do
that.
you bring that up to a board of people? Yeah, we want to buy a new server. So our old one is this CM750XM G3, but the new one we want to get is Epic.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, what's its name? Epic.
yeah, exactly. All right, so the last piece of hardware news, sort of, is about InWin. So they showed off some cases at Computex that I thought were really cool and actually really unique. Oh, I need to fix my crop here. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry, that last page messed with me. All right, cool. Um, so they've presented a few cases here that were wood paneled and tempered glass. So the top one here is the 806 ATX mid tower case. And so it's just wood panel wrapped all the way around. I believe it's glass on both sides. I don't think there's good pictures here. This is the one that I'm actually really into, is the Mini ITX Gaming Cube A1. So it's white with the wood paneling on top, and the other side of it, the left side, I don't think you can kind of see it in this picture in the background. It's got tempered glass on the left side as well. And then here's the 101. I believe the 101 just has a wood strip over here on the InWin name. You don't really see it here. And then the 305 has that wood strip there, where the InWin and the IO shield or the front IO is. So I just thought these were really interesting looking cases. They're all
Yeah.
like white and wood paneling with tempered glass. I think they're actually pretty, um, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right verbiage for it. They're pretty classy looking. They look very like
Mhm.
refined. I really actually am like digging the look of these.
Oh, I am definitely digging the look.
Again, I think my favorite one is this mini ITX one right here. I think that would
Uh-huh.
I would love to do a build in that case. But
Yeah. See, there's no micro ATX variants of these, but I mean,
I guess not. Yeah, I haven't seen one. I'm sure
yeah.
they'll have one at some point if they don't already. Um, but I think right now, I think micro ATX is still kind of that like redheaded stepchild form factor because,
Mhm.
right now it's all about either the big ATX or the itty bitty ITX. And
Right.
ITX has really been on the uptrend lately. Um, I think micro ATX is kind of starting to fall out of, that it was a really popular
Yeah.
form factor for a while. Like I feel like back in like the Arc, what was it, the Arc MIDI and the Arc Mini from Fractal, like back then, like what, like about 5 years ago or so, I guess, was probably the peak for micro ATX.
Okay.
Because I remember always having micro ATX cases, like, or
Yeah.
motherboards when I first started out, and then I ended up going to ATX because there started being like more availability in that form factor. But
Right. But Inwin, I would love to look at that 806. Mm.
yeah, so while we're at it, and when shoot me over one of those Gaming Cube A1s, and we'll get some other people, maybe MSI or someone to jump in and help out with getting some parts to fill it with, or Gigabyte, Jesus, I don't care, whoever
I
can
don't know
help.
if. Yeah, I was gonna say if Inwin sends me that 806, I'll shove my own system in there.
Well, I don't have any mini ITX components.
Ah,
Really,
yeah.
all I need is a motherboard, but and everything else I can make. Everything else would fit in there. But
Yeah.
all right, so on to the next topic. Winding it down. Man, we actually finished on time today. Um,
I love the picture.
a little bit of a little bit of gaming news here. Nintendo is clamping down on 3DS mods and hackers. So this is PC Mag by Matthew Humphreys. Um, Kind of a quick and easy topic again here, guys. Basically, anybody who was doing any modding or custom firmware or anything on their 3DS, like maybe I've done some videos on, and maybe some people who follow me have done to their devices, are starting to get hit with this error 002-0102 in the top of the lower 3DS screen, and basically tells you that there's a that online services are restricted. So basically, what it means is that Nintendo collects information on your device constantly. They always monitor it, and they basically know what's going on with it at all times. And they're just now finally deciding to do something about it, and they're starting to ban people on from anything online, basically online play or I think even updates to the system. You're completely banned from. So Kotaku apparently got in touch with Nintendo and was told that the bans are a response to unauthorized system modifications, playing unauthorized versions of one or more games, and or connecting to the game servers in violation of our terms of service. So
Hmm.
yeah, honestly, the 3DS has been around for a long time and it's been hacked pretty much since day one, I would guess, right? So
I would assume so.
them suddenly deciding to do something right now when they're next month releasing the new 2DS XL, when they've just released the Nintendo Switch, it almost feels like a play for more sales. Because why do you care at this point, Nintendo?
Right.
So
Other than
I almost feel like they're trying to get people to, who are on like maybe an older 3DS or even, the newer 3DS XLs they're trying to, brick them from online play and trying to get people to go ahead and buy a new 2DS XL when it comes out. Um, because they're going to be a little bit lower price point at 150 versus 200 for a 3DS XL. I still think 150 is too high of a price. I think they need to drop the price of the 3DS XL, the new 3DS XL, and they need to lower the price of that 2DS XL. I think 2DS should be like 120 and probably like 160 to 180, like 175. I would say 175 for a new 3DS XL. Because it's still $200, and that is something that's a little high for a handheld. But anyways, um, like I said, it's really weird for them to go this long without doing anything about anybody doing any custom firmware or running any hacks or anything like that on a 3DS.
and then
And
suddenly, right before launch.
right before launch of a new device in the lineup, and shortly after they've launched the Switch. I don't think they're necessarily trying to drive anybody to the Switch because I mean they can't keep the Switch in stock anywhere. They're selling like hotcakes, and they've already said that they don't view the 3DS and the Switch as being in the same market as each other. They don't think that they encroach on each other's sales at all, which I
No.
would agree with them that they don't because they're different enough and they're different enough price points that they wouldn't. Um, so yeah, this just seems like a grab for sales for the 2DS XL whenever they release it. So yeah, I love like Nintendo, like the content they put out. I kind of hate what they do as a company a lot of times.
Yeah.
So this
Oh,
one I really didn't do enough research on. Um, but a company is making AR gear that you might actually wear. So this is kind of going along the Google Glass concept, but trying to look a little less goofy than Google Glass. And if you look at I'll play their Vimeo video here. So they got everybody walking around with their heads down, and here comes this girl walking around with her glasses on, and what's this? There's a little OLED screen there, and she's on a phone call, and she can see her directions right there in her eye on the glasses lens. Um, I don't think they have anything quite like that out yet. What's shown here, I think that's more of a concept. I don't know, maybe they do, but essentially they create these devices with OLED micro displays, and they use their own processor in them called Whisper chips. Um, excuse me, which are used for the audio for voice recognition. So it's supposed to be able to distinguish human to machine versus human to human audio, and they're supposed to be good enough that in a loud environment with 80 decibels of background noise, they can still pick up your voice and recognize what you're saying. So it's actually pretty
wow.
impressive. They actually do a lot of work for the military. So doing like creating, I think I may know something about what they've done. I think well, I don't know how much I can say about that, but essentially what it is heads-up displays that they would have created for the military for ease of communication in the field. I'll put it at that. I don't know that again. I don't know that anything I knew was that privileged, but I had heard some stuff a while back, and this was years ago.
From the internet, right?
Sure, yeah, the internet's got all kinds of stuff on it.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's basically all this is. It's just someone else trying to do kind of an AR thing with a set of glasses. This is actually a product they do have out now. Well, I guess there's a Indiegogo for it for 375. It's called the Solos. They're sunglasses with the heads-up display on the OLED. They give you just like your vitals, like your speed, stuff like that. Um, So, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I don't like that it's on an arm coming out. I would like it better if it was integrated in the actual lens, but I'm sure that's something coming in the future. Just thought that was kind of a cool product. Kind of interesting to see where the augmented reality things are
Yeah.
going. And our last topic of the day. Microsoft shares limited details about Asus, HP, Lenovo, Windows Mixed Reality HMDs. So we talked about this before about Acer coming out with this Windows Mixed
Mm-hmm.
Reality headset. Um,
Yeah.
so now we have confirmation of several other partners coming out. The end of this year, these will start hitting the market. So they're supposed to be, for the most part, from what I understand, in the $300 to $400 range for the most part. Um, and they work. They use a lot of the HoloLens technology, and they actually use the HoloLens API when you connect them up. So that's actually how they function. So these two dots here are two cameras, two wide-angle cameras, and so that's how it does its motion tracking. So instead of having lighthouse sensors or I forget what they call the one for the Oculus, but the actual sensors that you have to have plugged into a computer or the IR blasters that you have wirelessly, I can't talk, transmitting for the Vive, you actually have two cameras in your head-mounted display that will actually scan the environment around you, parse that information, send it back to the API, and use that to track your movement in conjunction with there's gyroscope and stuff like that as well in the head-mounted display. Excuse me. I've also heard word of. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for saying this. Um, I've also gotten word of hand controllers like the Vive has that will come out with these maybe a little bit later than the headset's release. And essentially, instead of having the IR dots on them that the lighthouse sensors pick up, they're actually going to have white blinking LEDs on them. And that is how the headset will track the motion controllers. So they'll only be tracked when they're in field of view of the headset cameras. which could pose a problem if you're in a gaming environment. But for enterprise stuff, like the kind of stuff that my company would be interested in something like this for, that's actually not a problem at all. So it may have limited use in the gaming market because of things like that. Like I know, I feel like there's a lot of games on like with the Vive where you need to be able to have the game track your controller when it's outside of your actual direct field of view. Like maybe it's
Right.
behind your head a little bit or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Right.
wrong. Maybe it'll work out great for gaming too. But again, and it depends on if like you'll be able to hook this up with Steam VR or Oculus Home or something like that. Because I doubt that there's going to be anything that'll natively take advantage of the Windows or Microsoft HoloLens API to bring you into a game. So we'll see what happens
Mm.
with that when these come out. Excuse me. I'm going to try and mute myself.
So while he's muted, I'll go ahead and continue forward with that. I hope that they do track, you know, because I feel that when tracking your controllers, that putting it behind you, I would hope it at least still tracks maybe the buttons, or at least like what direction is it pointed. It doesn't need to know exactly where it is, as long as it knows like, hey, it's pointed 160 degrees, you know.
Right.
But
From what I've heard, it will, once it's out of line of sight, out of the range, and they're supposed to be wide angle view. I don't
mhm.
know how wide angle, but once they're out of the line of sight, or the I guess the field of view, once they're out of field of view of the
Right.
cameras, it should still be able to track them for a couple seconds. But if you like put it behind your back, it's not going to have any clue where it is. It's actually the camera itself is looking for the pattern blinking from the LEDs to track it.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
so we'll see. We'll see what happens. There will still also be the possibility to use like an Xbox controller with it, because if there's no hand controller that comes out with it to begin with, anyways, you're gonna need something, and so that would be the Xbox controller.
Right.
Um, so
And I
yeah,
just want to say I like the design that Asus is pictured in.
hmm,
Like that looks nice, but I don't
yeah,
like the design of the headband. That looks ow.
yeah. I do like the only one that shows you the cable is the HP. And I don't, and they do have options, I believe, on the cable that they basically can design their own cable.
Hmm.
So they may not all be like this one, but the HP looks like it has a single input into the HMD to it looks like they're doing a DisplayPort and a USB 3, if I'm not mistaken. Um, this is really hard to see. Oh, that didn't help. Can I, nope. Can I
I don't
zoom?
know. It could be
Zoom and
HDMI.
enhance. Zoom and enhance. I can't. Yeah, that may be HDMI. Just maybe a bad render. Because these are all obviously renders. But yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to tell there what that is, if that's HDMI or DisplayPort. I mean, it
Right.
honestly almost looks like another USB. But I don't think it's going to do USB for video. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. All right. Well, that's it for the topics today, guys. I think we only had one viewer, so there's that. We didn't do so hot this week. I didn't do a good job of advertising it this week, reminding people. So
Nor did I.
I should have created. Usually, I try and create the live event earlier on so that I can harass people and hope that they set reminders. But yeah, so
Yep.
all right.
Okay.
Well, that's all I've got. Uh, Barry, you want to close this out? And we can see if anybody has any questions, put them up in the chat, and we'll do a quick Q&A if there's any questions at all.
Yeah. Any questions?
But Bear, I'll let you go ahead and take it away with the closeout, and then we'll check again. And if there's nothing, we'll go ahead and bump out of here because it is 10:03.
It is. All right, guys. So this video this week was brought to you by Johnny O. Johnny O with TitoTechTube.
I just gleeked all over myself. That was really weird.
And then, of course, Bear from If That's the Case. And if you do like what they are doing for you and you like their videos, feel free to hit that like button or that subscribe button. Also, feel free to check out any of the links provided in the video description. Granted that they are going to be provided in the video description this
Yeah, I haven't
week.
put them in yet, but I'll get them in there.
In order to check out my YouTube channel, as well as Johnny's, as well as our Twitter feeds, as well as our Patreon pages. Speaking of Patreon pages, why should you check out our Patreon pages? Well,
Because we're awesome.
production of videos, yeah, we're awesome. The production time of the videos, that definitely takes some time. And then, like for me, I got cases, my cases cost a little bit, and then I gotta, sell them off. I'm not gonna sell them for the same thing I got them for because no one buys. And when you do, it helps also bring in some more content as well. So, did anyone post a question, comment? No?
No, not yet. I do want to, real quick, I'm going to show this on the stream. Hopefully it doesn't show
Okay.
any account information. I don't think there's anything pertinent here.
Okay.
So I ordered this to check out and do a review on. Oh, and of course it doesn't, like, show up well.
And I have to wait the 15 seconds in order to see it. And I'm watching myself do all these weird hand movements.
Oh boy. Oh, this is not working. Okay, so Amazon's not working with me. Here we go. I can do this. It is a $10 mouse from Amazon. It's a gaming mouse for $10, by the way. And they're supposed to be Iron Man mice.
Oh.
Yeah. So this one, it kind of matches with my Iron Man Mark 39 Gemini theme that I'm going for with my PC. So I decided to go ahead and check it out and give it a shot. So I'll do a review on that and see if you can get a $10 gaming mouse that is any good from Amazon.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they do actually have, like, the black one actually looks pretty good. If
Oh,
I'm being
Dr.
honest.
Z just got the notification.
Oh no. So what's
That's
ironic?
not relate.
What's ironic? Well, other than YouTube's terrible, terrible notification system, does anybody else think that this black mouse looks like it's Black Panther themed? Like that just seems super like Black Panther to me. Yeah, yeah, no, no.
Yeah, I can't see it
Yep.
yet, so
Okay. I'm like, you were turning
yeah,
your
it
head.
kind of does.
Like it almost seems like it's supposed to be like a Black Panther theme, which is actually pretty cool. Even though that's not what they were going for, they were just going for like a Black Iron Man. But yeah, so the white one's the one I ordered because it's white and gold.
Be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So yeah, that's it. And hey, Dr. Zipucci, thanks for showing up. Sorry you just got the notification. YouTube sucks at notifying our subscribers that we're doing stuff. So we actually had a pretty good, I feel like a pretty good set of topics here. Unfortunately, I mean, you'll be able to catch them on the recording once it processes. But yeah, sorry. And Bear just ran off and left me. Now I'm just sitting in awkward silence. Oh, there's Bear. Oh, he's back. Okay, good. I didn't know what to do when you were gone. I was lost and lonely. No, anyways. Alright, so I think that's... Oh, the other thing I do have coming in, I'm not going to put the Amazon up. The last thing I will update on, channel-wise, is that I haven't done any 3D printing stuff in a while because my 3D printer is stupid, and the bed is, like, got some serious warpage going on. So I ordered, hopefully, something that'll help with that, a glass plate for my print bed. So I'm going to get that on. So the glass plate's going to be here tomorrow, according to Amazon, but the silicone thermal pads for it won't be here until sometime between June 31st and like July something. So
Wow.
yeah.
Back ordered item or like
No,
from
just
China
not an
via
Amazon.
camel?
Yeah, not an Amazon shipped item.
Oh,
It's
okay.
shipped by the seller, so it's
Gotcha.
one of those. Yeah, it's because one of those we don't get any notification. Usually I've ordered from a couple of those, and usually because the reason they do the long date range is because they don't get tracking updates from the seller, so they go with like a super big range to cover their butts basically.
Right.
Um, and what
I
I've
have one of
noticed,
those.
yeah, what I've noticed is more often than not, you get it on the first day of the estimate. So more than likely it'll be June 21st when I get the the silicone thermal pad um, for the glass bed, so then I can install it and hopefully do more 3D printing stuff. Because I am way overdue on doing the SNES case for my Pi Zero, but I haven't been able to do any printing to do any prototyping. So, all right, I think that's all I've got. Bear, any updates you want to give before we head
Um,
out of here?
no, I'm way behind on everything.
Me too.
My computer, I think. Well, I thought at first it was a bad stick of RAM because my system one day turned on and it's like, hey, you changed your RAM, you only got one stick, and that freaked me out. But I think it was a bad Microsoft update, and I think the stick of RAM thing was just a fluke. Um, so I'm behind on things, guys. And then I got this Thermaltake Versa H15 off to my side over here, in which I will hopefully be getting to soon. And then I hope to have it up before the end of the weekend. So before the end of
Yeah.
Sunday, before the end of Sunday. So, and then next week, my district, we have graduation. So I'm not sure when I'll even be available.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy on my side, and like I told you earlier, Bear, I've
Mm,
only done. I looked at my stats, and I've posted 3 videos in the past month. So I'm not even
right.
like doing one a week, which I try and my minimum is I try to do one a week on minimum. Um, but yeah, so it's been a rough week. It's been a rough month, I guess I should say.
Right.
Okay, and sorry, I'm just adding stuff to the description before we sign off.
No, you're perfectly fine.
All right, so Dr. Zibuchi, thanks for showing up as soon as you got the notification. That's awesome. Um, you are probably the most loyal sub that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So I just added everything to the description, so all the links for the PC part pickers and everything, and the straw poll are there. So you just at your leisure when you can rewatch, check those out, and hopefully you find us entertaining and useful. So
Yeah.
yeah, no
So,
votes yet. Oh no, sorry.
what?
Yeah, I think what was it last time we did it together. Last week I was MIA, but last time we did the stream together, we I think we had like 10 people watching. It was a good stream. So yeah, so
Nice.
Dr. Zipucci, if you're interested in 3D printing at all, I will go over this with you live real quick before we sign off. Um, Kodama is going to have middle of this month. They don't have an official date yet, but they're going to be having a Kickstarter for a $99 3D printer. They've already successfully launched one 3D printer. This is, as far as I know, the second one. There may be more. Um, excuse me. There may be more, but I think it's just the one they've done so far. Um, but if you get in on the early bird, it's $49 for the 3D printer. So I signed up to get the notification. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Um, even at 49, I just may not have the $49 to do it. But if I do, then I will. So definitely check that out if you're looking for an entry level into 3D printing, because at $49, this thing does look like it's going to be a very good quality printer, especially for $50. I mean that's insane. They've got to be losing hand over fist on selling that thing at $49 for the early bird. There will be multiple tiers for it, so there's a 149 and a 249 option that'll just give you, more accessories and options with it. But um, the base price of it will get you a functioning printer. So, all right, guys, I'm starting to get harassed by the wife again, so she's ready for bed.
All right, man.
So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream off here. Dr. Zibuchi, thanks for showing up. Thanks to everybody who has viewed the stream and hung out with us. And until next time, it's Johnny O with TitoTechTube and
Bear
Bear,
with if that's the case.
and we'll catch you next week on Bear's channel.
All right. Have a good day. Night. Day, night. day and night. I toss and turn, I can't.